Welcome to the Temple of Flame. On today, Faithful Acolytes, we take a look at this. And what this is from Lola's, it is the limited batch Family Reserve. And I've done a bunch of the other Lola's sauces prior. You can check them out on the blog, wherein lies the written review for this very sauce, available down in the description below. And we've got some shiny, polished, sort of chromish looking things here. Manufactured for out of Des Moines, Iowa. So manufactured for. So maybe they're not actually doing the sauce themselves. So we've got. You know what? This is actually accurate. I will give them that. So we got the signature original made even hotter and reserved for family until now. So it is hotter than the original. It is also not even remotely the same sauce. We'll get into that. This is a small craft limited batch Reaper and Habanero. And up the end, I don't know why they're referencing the original. So the other four sauces I didn't really find super enjoyable. This one, however, sweet, smoky, and lime flavor. Tons of heat. Certainly there's more heat here than in any of the other ones, unquestionably. But this reminds me actually more of a Valentina style sauce, except where they say where did you see this? Okay, we didn't finish reading. Try this on anything. Okay, so this is meant to be more of an everyday sauce, and Valentina is very much not meant to be an everyday sauce. It is very clearly a Mexican style sauce. This one is kind of like a Valentina's if you actually did try to make it more of an everyday sauce. So it still references a lot of the flavor notes of the Valentina, but they're not as sharply edged. They're not as pointed and directed as Mexican style sauce, as is that sauce. This is much more of a general sort of everyday sauce. I assume that's what they were going for here. I don't actually know, but I was thinking it would be more like a Louisiana style sauce, and I was kind of surprised to find that was not the case at all. You can see it's very smoothed out. I only did videos on some of the other sauces because to me this is annoying. To me, there is not really a point in doing it on a number of the other ones. You know what? I used this yesterday, I think. Why? Let's see if we could get it to drop down. Okay, we could. You know, I really don't like neck clotting. I find that really obnoxious. All right, let's shake it up some more. Anyway, it is definitely not a Louisiana style sauce. Certainly not. You can see it's not quite as thick as most of the Valentinas are, but it definitely is very reminiscent of it, I think. Flavor-wise as well, although flavor-wise, honestly, you know what this reminds me of? Is a slightly more vinegary version of the Arizona Gunslinger. Those two sauces, the Chipotle Habanero and the regular Habanero. And that is, we'll get to that in a minute, but very pretty color. Again, very, very Valentina-like color, I think, here as well. I like it. It looks like just a regular sort of sauce, salsa, you would find in a Mexican-style restaurant. I think it is similar to that. I really like the color of this. It's sort of reddish orange. So the color, I think, is quite nice. I actually like the color quite a bit. This is probably my favorite sauce from Lola's as well. But let's get into it. Oh, I forgot to read you the ingredients. I will do that now. Aged Carolina Reaper pepper, lime juice, vinegar, red jalapenos, habaneros, garlic, salt, and canola oil. So, the first ingredient is Reaper peppers, and it is certainly punchy. This is, I think, right on the border of potentially being too much for non-chili heads, if I'm being honest here. The thing that reminds me so much about that Arizona Gunslinger, though, this is an incredibly salty sauce, just like those other two were. It's a bit hard to bear because I really like the combination here of flavors, though, on the pepper side of the Carolina Reaper and the habanero and the jalapeno. So I guess you could try to make it if you put together one of those Arizona Gunslinger sauces with the Black Valentinas with you need to get Reaper in there as well. So add some Reaper as well. Fortunately, lime is not really showing up. It's almost a sort of citrusy, fruity grace note, but it's not particularly prevalent. So, you know what happens when I get something stuck in my head, if you've seen enough of these videos. This is the Devour white cheddar and bacon mac and cheese. And even though this is, like I said, not strictly a Louisiana style sauce, which is what I would normally have here. Ooh, this spoon might be too small for this. We'll try it anyway. I do think it's flexible enough as an everyday sauce that it probably will work here well. I really do think this is really, that's what, I don't know if they were going for that, but I think it works best in that sort of table sauce, everyday sauce setting. Although, to be fair, it is quite a bit hotter than most of those go. But it is like a good everyday sauce. It is super, this is one of the more flexible sauces. Definitely the most from Lola's, but one of the more flexible sauces I think I've done this year. Now, admittedly, I am filming this early 2025, so it's really, for frame of reference, we're not very far into the year. But ooh, that is interesting. So this is a very, very rich mac and cheese, and obviously bacon and just gobs of cheese. This sauce is really interacting with the smokiness of the bacon. Kind of interesting, though. Yes. I quite like that. That's kind of what you need, though, with a good everyday sauce, right? Is it needs to be able to go, at least functionally, on everything. I don't think I would use this on Asian food and certainly not on desserts, but those are kind of outliers, I think. I think Asian food just tends to be really the flavors, I think, were just really self-referential, and they're meant to be complete. I don't think they're meant to necessarily have things added to them. Whereas stuff like mac and cheese, you know, for me, for a very long time, these have just seemed more like a base to add sauce to. Sometimes people, if you've been a chili head for any length of time, and especially at any sort of pronounced level at all, you will know. You will know that people will sometimes object to you adding sauce to things that they make. You know, and they'll say, oh, I did all this work, and there you are just dumping sauce on it. You must not like it. It's like, look, I like the flavor combinations. Foodie first, right? So I don't want to be rude and just eat it plain or make a big deal of it, right? Because it's like, no. I don't like any mac and cheese without, at this point, like a Louisiana style sauce or something with a bit of a vinegar hit to cut the richness, because it is too much. It's the same reason I don't eat milk chocolate. It's too much. And it's like, it's cool that people go through the effort and everything, and certainly I've gone through the effort, and you know, people put ketchup or whatever on it, but it's like, you know, if that combination speaks to you, fine. I don't. It's not a reference to anything other than I like those flavor combinations, you know. You shouldn't take it to mean that I think you're a bad cook or an inferior cook. Because I wouldn't say those things about me. And I don't care about if somebody adds sauce to it, a different sauce maybe, barbecue or something. Furthermore, a lot of the stuff I make and spend a lot of time with, I add sauce to myself. When you're a chili head, especially like I said, if it's somewhat pronounced, and as time grows on, you will grow missed to not having a bit of a heat push to things. Or certain flavor combinations you find favorable. Could I eat mac and cheese, for instance, without hot sauce? Probably. But why would you ever want to? Masking the taste is certainly a valid use of hot sauce or any other sauce, right? Ketchup was invented because refrigeration was so poor at the time that meat would turn gamey. And back then, you couldn't waste food unless it was literally inedible, unless it would literally make you sick to eat it. And even then, only maybe. I'm actually misstating that a bit. Ketchup was actually invented in China. But how ketchup rose to prominence in the United States is the story that I told you before that, where they were trying to make gamier meat and some slightly rotted meat more palatable. But that is not the primary or even probably even a tertiary use of that, in modern times. Again, what we really want out of a hot sauce is obviously some heat, but we also want to enhance the flavor of the food, or at least I do. So in the case of that mac and cheese, I like that Devour mac and cheese. It's a good baseline. I like the noodles. I like the flavor, and especially with the bacon. It's a really nice combination. However, it is far too rich. That right there, what I just had in front of you, that white cheddar and bacon mac and cheese, I can't eat by itself. It is too rich for me. And foods that are too rich, I just really, really have a hard time eating. In general, especially because the flavor is so heavy, and I'm like, I need something to cut that through, Now, personally, I love the flavor of cayenne. So cayenne and vinegar in that setting, to me, is still the best, far and away. But I will say that this one was actually quite nice in there. I've had this on a variety of stuff. This is easily the best sauce I think Lola's has done, unquestionably. And it's a good table sauce. Again, my only real complaint is that it is way too salty. This I actually got on vacation in summer of 2024. It took me about 8 months to actually open this. But again, that was because I thought it was a Louisiana-style sauce, because their other sauces were so watery. This came in a very handsome box, kind of like the old Tabasco boxes, the cardboard box those bottles used to come in once upon a time, once upon a when, right? So this came in that, and I didn't get a look at the sauce until I opened it recently, because I figured it'd be somewhat punchier, and I'm still in the process of tinkering around with some challenges here and there. So I thought, okay, great. Carolina Reaper sauce, get some punch in my life, and try to not have tolerance skid too much. And so that's kind of long and short of why this took so long, because I just had so many Louisiana-style sauces. But yeah, this is everything that their other sauces aren't. This is. It's delicious. It's hot. It is too salty, but honestly, I wouldn't have expected this from them. I picked this up on a whim in Minnesota. I saw it on the shelf with a bunch of other stuff, and I went, all right, why not? We'll see if it's... Well, I'm not afraid to trash sauces, and if it's as bad as the other ones, I'll write Lola's off completely. I think I had already done, to this point, most of their line. But I am so pleased that I did. This is actually quite a good sauce. Again, though, where is sodium here? I want to see where this is, because it is reading crazy high. So it says that teaspoon is only 50 or 60 milligrams. I can't quite make that out. 50 milligrams. So 50 milligrams for that. For this is not bad, but I don't know if I believe this nutritional guidance, because it is also listing the ingredients, Reapers, as the very first ingredient, and the flavor of this is very much not, to me, particularly Reaper forward. In fact, the jalapenos and the habaneros, yes, definitely those, but I am not really getting a whole lot of Reaper flavor out of this. The bitter, super hot part isn't there. It is punchy, though. You know, so they are there somewhere, I'm sure, but putting them first, it does say aged as well, so I'm assuming that means that they're fermented. But would that mean the first ingredient? I don't know. Well, that mean the first ingredient, I would expect them to be more forward in the flavor, and they really aren't. So, but anyway, yeah, this was super, super nice and kind of unexpected. And I'm always happy to have good quality sauces, and I would say that this certainly is one of those. So that's going to wrap it up for this one. That was the Lola's Family Reserve Hot Sauce. Now go forward in peace to serve the flame.